Hey guys, welcome to L&D Home. In today's video, we have some spooky season Halloween home decor for you guys that we DIY'd from almost all Dollar Tree items. Let's get started. For this first Halloween DIY, I'm using these 3 books that I purchased from Dollar Tree, and I'm just taking those covers off. You're going to see a real life moment here, life of a crafting mom, where my son needed some help with his math homework, so I had to pause and give him a little assistance. I wanted to keep this in here just to be real with you guys, because, well, real life. I do wish that I would have checked these books at Dollar Tree before I brought them home, because some of the spines weren't just printed with words, it was like indented, and you can see it in my final project, but this is what I had and I still love the way it turned out. I am going to paint each book a different color. This one I am painting a light gray by Waverly, and I will give you a tip, don't paint the middle. I wasted so much paint on this one and the brown one I'm going to show you right here, painting the middle. We're stacking them, you don't need to paint the middle, you're not going to see it, we're gluing them together. So just make sure you get a nice frame around it and you paint any of the nooks and crannies that are going to be showing when you put these DIYs together. But don't waste your paint, guys. It's not worth it. I did do about 3 coats on each of those 2 books, and this one was already black, so I lucked out. I only had to do about 2 coats just on the spine with some black acrylic paint. It was super easy and it saved me a lot of time. I did sit them up like this to dry, which actually would have been easier to paint them like this, so a little tip if you're painting books, this would have worked really well to paint them. Different day, same DIY. They are dry now, and I am ready to connect them. So I wanted to write on the spine first, and I decided to go with this metallic marker from Dollar Tree. I love the way that these write, and they're just super smooth. I would usually Cricut vinyl this, but I wanted to show you guys that you don't have to have a fancy cutting machine to make a cute DIY. I just don't like my handwriting, but we went ahead and went with it. I only did 1 coat. I didn't have to go over any of these letters, and I really like the copper color. It brought some warmth to the DIY instead of doing like a silver or a white. And here's how one of the books turned out. Not the most perfect handwriting, but it is what it is. I did decide to take some super glue just so they wouldn't move around, because I'm going to be tying it together with this ribbon that I also got from Dollar Tree. And I think it's really pretty, but I want it to be nice and sturdy. Do be careful when you're tying the ribbon, because this glue is not like a quick dry glue. I didn't feel like heating up my glue gun. I just couldn't be bothered. So do be careful. They will slide around until they are secure and the glue is cured. I just took a piece of this ribbon and I decided not to do a bow because it's like a spooky DIY. I wanted to do just a knot, and I am going to dovetail the ends and tie the knot nice and tight, but I didn't want to do too much on the top or too big of a bow or anything fancy because I wanted this to be a little bit spooky, a little bit Halloween. I am also going to fiddle with this bow or this knot, the tails, once I get them in position. Because this is a wired ribbon, again, I got this at Dollar Tree. It wasn't this season, but they might still have it. You may want to check. I did kind of fiddle with the tails a little bit and use the wire in the ribbon to kind of make it wave a little bit more. So it just looked a little bit more special and it added a little something to the finished look. And here we have the final reveal. I love the way these turned out. They are so cute. And yes, you can see the words through them. So definitely check your books before you bring them home. But all in all, I love it. And you can even see a sneak peek at our next DIY sitting on top and next to these spooky books. For this DIY, I got 3 of these jars from Dollar Tree. I really liked the look of them. I wanted a bit of a larger jar, but I couldn't find them, so I went with these. I do want to spooky up the lids a little bit, so I just took some really, really dark brown paint and some lighter brown. So I'm going to start with the lighter brown, just using a sponge brush from Dollar Tree, and I'm just dabbing it on there, and I'm not going for perfection. I just didn't really like the stark silver. I wanted it to look a little bit more old, rusted, because these are going to be some spooky specimen jars. So I just wanted it to look a little bit rusted up and kind of a little bit scary. So I started with the light brown, and then I'm going to go in with that dark brown and just add a little bit of detail, really just sponging everything on. No rhyme or reason, just making it look old and making it look rusty. Once I am done and I like the finished product of these lids, I am going to set them aside to dry, and they did dry pretty nicely and none of the paint is flaking off. Now we're going to move on to our actual jars. I just took the stickers off the bottom, and we are going to be putting some spooky, gross specimens inside of our jars that I also picked up from Dollar Tree. I found both of these bugs in the toy section at Dollar Tree, and I just thought that they would be perfect for these specimen jars. And they were a little bit big for the jars. I wish I could have found like taller, wider jars, but I was working with what I could find at my local store, and I do like the way it ended up turning out. I did have to cut the poor beetle. I had to like snip him a little bit. Hope he's not upset about that, but he wouldn't fit into the jar. I could only find 2 bugs that I thought were going to fit. I couldn't really find anything else. So in my third jar, I did find this pack of hands in their Halloween section. So I am just going to kind of place those. I ended up using the whole pack. I didn't think I was going to, but I did, just placing those inside. In a cup, I just put some water, and I'm going to put some food coloring in there. Now, I did way too much. I put about 8 drops of the green and 1 to 2 drops of that yellowish color, and it ended up being too dark. When I started pouring, you're going to see here in a second, you could barely see the specimens inside of the jar. So if you're going to recreate this, I would highly suggest doing maybe 1 or 2 drops of the green and not any more than that, because I had to pour it out, pour some regular water inside, and then add my spooky colored water on top. And they still ended up being really dark, but I was just going with it. This is the first time I've made anything like this. So a tip for you, do like 1, 2, maybe 3 drops of food coloring. Don't overdo it, because you want to see the disgusting specimen inside of the jar and not just a bunch of green. But this was super easy peasy. I then wanted to attach the lids because, well, this is water inside and I have kids. So I didn't want anybody to pick this up and the lid come off and food coloring went everywhere. So I just took some of this super glue, put a couple dots on the inside of the lid, pushed it on, and let it dry overnight. So I knew that my lids were nice and secure, and I was not going to have green food colored water going all over my basement floor, which is where we happen to decorate for Halloween. And here we have the final reveal. I love it. They are so cool. This one looks like a spider. It's not, but my son thought it was a spider. I did put some fairy lights around these 2 that I got off Amazon a long time ago, just to kind of shine through the jar a little bit because that green was so dark. But overall, this is definitely a keeper. Our next DIY is something I saw on Pinterest and I had to try it. So I picked up these 2 candles from Dollar Tree. I wanted larger ones, but I couldn't find them. So I just went this with the size I could find. You're going to take some tissue paper, and I just cut it a little bit smaller than a piece of printer paper because you are going to need a printer for this DIY. You might be able to draw something on. I don't know how that would work. Maybe with Sharpie. You could try it. If you do, let me know in the comments down below how it worked. But you want to tape your tissue paper onto your printer paper, and you want to stand by your printer. Stand by your printer because it ate part of it, and I got tissue paper stuck in my printer. It was a whole mess. Make sure you feed it through really carefully when it's printing. But we are going to actually heat these onto our candles. So you just cut really close. And yes, that is a skull with a beard. Here's the conversation coming up about the skull with the beard. Trying to get my last Halloween DIY done. You want to come look at it?
What is it?
There's spooky Halloween candles.
You know what's funny? Do you know who that is?
No, but it looks like you.
I actually watch his videos.
Oh, is that actually? My husband has an amazing beard, and he recently messed up his haircut and had to shave his head, so it actually looked like him. I was laughing so hard, like I couldn't even function. Apparently, it is a decal from a YouTube content creator, but it's not the same one because the YouTube guy has glasses, so I don't think I'm stealing anything here. I hope not. But basically, you're going to use a heat gun or a hair dryer to heat this like transfer onto your candle. So you're going to put your transfer on your candle, a piece of wax paper, and you want to protect your fingers because that heat gun is going to be very close to your hands. So yes, that is an oven mitt that you see here. This first one, I did way too much heat. I melted the candle a little bit, so little bits of heat at a time. Basically, you're waiting until the ink kind of turns really, really dark black through your wax paper. So like like 2 seconds of heat at a time, pull it away and keep doing that over and over again. I got the hang of it with my husband's candle. I just can't stop laughing about the fact that he's on a candle. It just looks so much like him right now. I thought it was hilarious. But this could be cool for so many different things, not even for Halloween, like weddings, any holiday. I think these turned out absolutely amazing. No, I'm not going to light them, but I think they look so cool, and it was so easy and cheap to do this. And I love the way they turned out, and I just had to style it up a little bit in our basement and make them look super awesome. So this was probably one of my favorite DIYs of today's video, hands down. Our last DIY is going to be very simple. I got 2 packs of these little witches hats. I think they're supposed to be ornaments. They were from Dollar Tree in their Crafter Square section. And I am just making 3 piles, and I am going to have 1 left over. My idea is to make a cool garland with this. So I made 3 piles because I'm going to be using 3 different colors, the same colors that I used on those books. So it kind of matches a little bit in our Halloween basement decor. I just did this really sloppy and messy, no rhyme or reason. I did kind of also use my sponge to pat a little bit because I like the texture that it gave. Once one side dried, I flipped it over and did the other side. So I have this really, really deep brown, the black, and I am also going to have a really light gray, so it kind of matches our books a little bit. Once these are all dry, I am going to create a pattern with them and just kind of lay them out so I know my pattern. I also switched which way the tip of the witch's hat is facing. If you can see here how I did that with every group of 3, I switched the tip of the witch's hat the other way. I'm just using some twine, also from Dollar Tree that I had in my stash, and I'm just going to be stringing these on, easy peasy. I did kind of change the way I was stringing them on a bit. I thought it would help them lay a little bit better. And I do have a trick when you hang them up. I actually curved the witch's hat around the twine when I hung it up to get them to hang straight because they were hanging sideways and you couldn't see the witch's hat at all. So just a tip if you make this and you go to hang it up. I thought it was too plain, so I decided to take a white oil-based Sharpie marker and just write Happy Halloween. Yes, I am writing upside down. I'm not super good at this, but I write upside down in the classroom a lot when I'm working with small groups with my 3rd graders. So I've actually gotten pretty decent at writing upside down. So I thought this would be better to do it this way so you could actually see me write the letters instead of me facing it towards me and everything's upside down for you. I did leave that one hat in the middle blank just to break things up a little bit. And I did go over this 2 or 3 times just so the letters were, nice and bold and they popped. And here we have it hanging in our basement. I think this is so cute. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you found it helpful and entertaining and you got some inspiration. Make sure you check out the video and the playlist on the screen and smash that subscribe button so you can become part of our YouTube family. Bye!